Well, hello, my beautiful friends. Ray Edwards here with this week's edition of the Ray Edwards podcast. And we're going to start doing some more Q&A episodes where you ask your questions and I give you answers about copywriting and marketing and life. So send them in if you got them. We'll give you the address in just a few minutes. I'm going to get to these first few questions first. Question number one, how do I get more people to open my emails? Well, the number one factor getting people to open your emails is actually who it's from, believe it or not. So that means they have to know your name and they have to regularly look for, anticipate, and enjoy your emails. That means you should be sending more emails. If you only email once a week or once a month, your response rate, your open rate is going to be much lower, believe it or not. But it means you have to make your emails better also. The second way you can get more of your emails opened has to do with subject lines. That's the next most important thing beyond who it's from. Using subject lines that are short is key. I try to keep our subject lines to 50 characters or less so that people can read the entire subject line in the preview pane of their email application or reader. Now, it's not always possible, but I try to do that. You should try to do that too. This makes it much more likely they're going to open the email because they're going to know what it's about. Here's a subject line I used today that worked pretty well, got pretty good open rates. It was custom AI sales pages in 3 minutes, ? That's less than 50 characters, and it worked like a charm. You can get more emails opened by making the subject line look like it came from a friend. Now, I'm not suggesting you try to fool people. That's just not nice. But what I am saying is when you get an email from a big corporation or a bank or a department store, you know from the subject line it's a sales email, don't you? It's like all the letters are capitalized. It has a certain kind of language they use. Don't make your subject lines look like that. Make them look like the way you would write an email to a friend. Just look at some of your emails back and forth between your friends. So for instance, here's one that I used recently that also worked well. And it's this: hey, are you going to be there? ? And I do use a comma, hey, comma, are you going to be there? ? But I don't capitalize any of the letters because when you're writing to a friend, we're less careful about things like that, right? And this has to fit your marketing persona, but assuming it does, that's a great way to get people to open up because they want to know, beware, where am I supposed to be? Maybe it's on a webinar, maybe it's on a live video training or streaming event, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's your live event. It's a way to get them curious enough to open the email and read it. Here's a great way to get your emails opened. Write subject lines that create curiosity and they demand that you open them. You've gotten these, I'm sure. One that I've used over and over again that works really well every time I use it is simply open up, please. And I don't capitalize anything. And it says open up, PLZ. Try it. Let me know how it works. So those are several ways you get more of your emails opened. Great question. I know it'll help a lot of people. Let's move on to our next question. By the way, coming up, I've got a free book to give you. If you want to find out how you can win this week's free book, this week's free copy of Read This or Die, Persuading Yourself to a Better Life by yours truly and my friend Jeff Goins, who wrote this together, then stick with me. I'll tell you how you can get that. All right, next question. Can I use copywriting on social media to make sales without seeming sleazy? Yes. Look, copywriting is not a particular way of talking or writing. It's writing clearly with persuasion in mind. And one of the rules, I think it's not a rule, but it's a guideline I'd give you, is first of all, if you want to get more response from your social media marketing, follow the 10-to-1 rule. And the 10-to-1 rule is send or post 10 valuable pieces before you send one that asks for something. That's a pretty good ratio to follow. I don't always follow that to the letter. Sometimes it may be 7-to-1 or 8-to-1 or 5-to-1, but I really work hard to provide at least 10 posts of value before I write a post that's clearly self-directed. Even when the ones that are meant to make sales, to be marketing posts, I want to give value in that post as well, so that if they don't even click on anything, they still get value. Another way to use copywriting, clear, persuasive writing, to help build your sales and to help grow your list and to market on social media without being sleazy, is to post and ask. When you have those 10 value posts and then you make one post asking for something, only ask for the click. Don't try to make your sale in the social media post. That doesn't feel nice. Just sell them on the click. Click here to find out more. Click here to watch the video. That's what you're selling, just the click and the click only. And remember this, the best and highest use of social media is being social. If you're still going to use social media for marketing, and I strongly recommend you do, then use the marketing with one idea in mind, one goal in mind. And your goal with all your social media writing, and all writing is copywriting, in my opinion, your number one and only goal is to get them on your email list. Get them to sign up for your email newsletter. Make the letter valuable. But if you can get them on your email list, then you can keep building value on social media, and you can focus your marketing and sales efforts in your emails to people who've opted in to hear from you. Those are ways you can use copywriting on social media without seeming sleazy. Okay, third and final question for this episode. Are old school sales pages dead? I've heard this ever since I started writing copy. I'm still hearing it today. It's actually more uncomfortable to answer today because the answer is, well, they're not dead, but they may be on life support. If you're asking if old school sales letters are dead, and what you mean by that are the old school schlocky, marked up with red marker and yellow highlighter and the big mega headlines and their interminably long sales pages, are those dead? No, they still work for people who like marketing like that. There's a whole subculture that's into that, and that's how they expect to be marketed to. That's what they respond to. For those people, it works. The lesson to take from this is you've got to make the presentation and language of your sales message appropriate to the audience you're speaking to. I refer to this as using venue appropriate language. Read the room. Who are you talking to? If you're writing to high-level financiers and you're writing to them about a financial product, you can't use that schlocky, junky looking approach, but you still need to send a persuasive message. Copywriting, sales copy, and it may need to be longer, but just be aware of who your audience is. So do long sales letters work, even if they're not schlocky? For some instances, they're the only option you have, because if you're trying to sell a big ticket item or service through a sales letter online, it must be longer because people need more justification. They need more questions answered. You don't know what the questions are, so you've got to answer them all in the copy. But also work to make it interesting. And that means you've got to work hard to write copy that's just as long as it needs to be, but no longer. But sales letters are often longer than they need to be. All the rules of persuasion and copy and marketing still apply because they're based in psychology, human psychology, which hasn't changed for a long, long time. However, it takes work to write tight, effective, shorter copy. And often the length of copy is caused by laziness on the part of the copywriter. And for those instances where it does require longer copy, it still needs to be as tight as possible. There is no copy that's too long. There's only copy that's too boring or too confusing. Okay, this week we're giving away a free copy of the book that I wrote together with my friend Jeff Goins, and it's called Read This or Die, Persuading Yourself to a Better Life. And it's getting rave reviews. I'd love to send you a copy and sign it for you. Here's the way you do that. The first person who can see the code that's on the screen in the video version of this podcast sends an email to support@rayedwards.com with the code you see on the screen. The first email we receive, that's the person who's going to get the book. Unfortunately, because of shipping delays and expenses and regulations, this has to be for the continental U.S. only. If you happen to be first and I can't ship you a book, we'll find a way to reward you. So get the code, send it to us, and good luck to you. We'll do it again next week, so don't worry if you miss it this week. You'll have another chance next week. All right, send in your questions if you want to get answers on a Q&A episode like this. Send them to support@rayedwards.com. Be sure and put the words podcast question in the subject line. That way my assistant can find those and send them right to me. And until next time, may you live long, live deep, and may you prosper with purpose. See you soon.